wobble sockets.
That's not on yet. Wait.
Yeah, it is.
It's counting down instead of up.
Oh my God, stop it.
This is for you, buddy. This is for you. Say hi. Hey guys, it's Cass here, Kyle's better half. So far you guys have been able to see a little bit of what goes on in Kyle's garage and his toys and his mods that he's brought to the quad. But today we get to talk about my mod that I want to bring, because one of the deals was that when we got the quad, we got the dog to go with it. So we'll take a look here. We got the box yesterday. We'll be unpackaging it today and hopefully installing it tonight based on how complicated it is. So what it is, it's a box to carry dogs that can go on 1-up or 2-up quads. It's custom built based on what model and type of quad or toy you're riding. And it's made by a Dusty Dogs company based out of California. We're not sponsored in any way. We just thought it was super cool and we'd look into it. So Kyle's just gonna start unboxing it here. In the meantime, I figured I'd let you know how we got it, just in case anyone else here in Canada is interested. So it's based out of Colorado, by the way, not California, so I figured I'd out myself right there, right off the bat. But we ordered it. Fortunately enough, we got to skip the lineup a little bit. It's usually an 8-week process to build and to get it off to paint, and then another 10 business days to ship it. We did have to pay a duty fee, I think of about $160.
Yeah, that's what it's like to live in Canada in a nutshell.
Yeah, but overall we're really happy. Someone else with an Outlander XMR 1000 canceled an order right before we put ours in, so we got to skip the line a little bit. But here's a little bit of footage of the inside of the box and how it comes. All packed nice and neat, so it'll save you a little bit on shipping.
Okay.
It's a good start.
So it looks like we have the odd bit just kind of jumbled around here a little bit there. I'm guessing there's a back gate to it so the dog can kind of jump in and out, so to speak, from what I gather. I'm assuming those are some pins for it.
So one of the cool features about this is not only is it the box, but there's about a little shelving unit on a hinge in the back. You'll see it later on. But it comes down so that if your dog's in the box, you have some extra storage for jerry cans or whatever you might be carrying that day.
Whatever have you.
Whatever have you, yeah.
Because I found out I say that a lot on video. So we're looking at something like this, I'm guessing, for the bottom. We're going to slowly educate ourselves a little more and more. This might actually... Oh yeah, okay. There's definitely enough work here to be done. I don't know how many people are carrying dogs on their XMRs, but sometimes in life you have to agree with the wife and bring everything with you. In case you don't get that was sarcasm, I love my wife. Not so much the dog, but I'm working on it.
He loves the dog.
Yeah, I do. A lot. His name's Diesel, if you didn't get that. And he's probably somewhere roaming the yard right now. With no idea what we're doing for him at all.
No appreciation.
Well, I think so. He's just a puppy. Just a puppy. We're going to see how big he gets. Hopefully this is good enough.
So they do come in different sizes. I think it was 12, 14, 16 inches, or
Yeah,
14, 16, 18 in height.
You can also get a lid on top, which we did not order because we think that he's going to be sitting outside the screen.
So we do plan on putting some pool noodles around the edges of it just to reduce any, damage to the dog. We wouldn't want that. And we're going to get some rubber matting for the bottom as well, just to make the ride a little bit more comfortable because the trails aren't always that great out here. And we don't want him bouncing around, chipping any teeth or anything.
Yeah. And I think it'll work out pretty well. This thing is pretty bouncy, but I can soften the Fox shocks a little bit for trail riding with the entire family. And it should work out pretty well, I think. So
So one thing we're not too sure about yet is the installation and where it mounts and how easily this will be able to be removed or not. So we'll see that and we'll touch on that just a little bit.
So we're gonna figure this out and we'll start videoing when it matters.
So one cool thing about having a dog like ours is from day one, we had him as a pup at about 8 weeks and a half. We had him on the quad right away. He adjusted really well. Skidoos he didn't like too much because there's a higher pitch noise, but we got him around those at a fishing derby. He did really well. So, I mean, we put a lot of eggs in one basket here with this add-on, but hopefully it pays out in the end because we put in our sweat equity getting him accustomed to riding on the trails and stuff. Yeah, so hopefully this works out. So here I'm just working on getting some of the hardware out and together and laid out while Kyle tries to figure out how that's going to be mounted. Packaging so far,
Not so good.
not the greatest. But they did give us dog treats.
That's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
I hope the border doesn't know about that. Is there any soil or anything in there? Because they're probably going to charge us for that too.
Customs, yeah. But yeah, things are falling out everywhere. It's a little bit much.
The bolts weren't even in a bag.
Especially with the dog walking around. Washers.
I'm sure we're going to be happy with the end result, but I mean, it's a little ridiculous that I think they can give us dog treats. They could probably put a little baggie or something for the bolts. But.
Let's see what we've got here. Oh, instructions, handwritten.
Okay. I myself take that one back. They did provide instructions. I'm sure it's not specific to my equipment, but close enough. Step 1, put rack on quad.
There's only one step. I don't know how well you can see that, but
Not well. If it makes you feel better, even in person, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on.
yeah. And then the poor Buddy probably writes this by hand on every single order that they get because that's written in pencil. That is not photocopied.
Right here it says mounting bars with bolts.
So it's a small company. You can tell it's a.
They have a great reputation. I know we make a lot of jokes, but everyone suggested it. The videos and the pictures were all perfect, and it provides us with a way to do exactly what we wanted on an ATV.
Exactly. That's cute. That's heartwarming.
So, the feeling I was getting when we got this product, the instructions were hand-drawn and some other things, but so we got to mounting it anyway, and so there's two brackets essentially that go underneath my stock rack on the ATV, and then this top piece goes over the rack and you essentially just sandwich it together. So I got the first one in, I started lining it up and gauging, and I did a little bit of troubleshooting back and forth looking at these different bracket pieces, but it turns out there's no left and right bracket, so it didn't account for my rear bumper mounts down here. So it's right beside it. So when I was trying to put the other side in, and this is loose, we actually ran into an issue where the end here came into contact with my bumper mount. So I'm gonna have to cut this end off and actually gouge a chunk out of it here too, so that I can get the other side to work properly. So we're gonna get to that on this side. I'll show you. Excuse me. The best way I figured doing it, there's only one way, and it's going to involve me doing some testing. And I think anyone who's into this kind of stuff, mods and everything else, knows there's no such thing as a true bolt on anything ever. So here I have this hole lined up, and there's nothing I can do about trying to get more for this bolt. So essentially it's like right over here. So like I said, I'm going to have to cut that chunk off and see if I can get that to work. And maybe find an extra washer and lock ring because that didn't show up either. So we're going to get to doing that. should do it.
You're being so good. So good. Takes off.
So, after that little fiasco, we've got it all mounted in there. She's solid, no doubt. So we'll see, the next couple parts are probably going to be pretty easy, just zing in a couple bolts. I say that now, but I mean, so far we've had to modify a few things. Not a big deal. I'm going to have to get a washer and everything for that guy, because the bung that's welded on the other side, the mounting plate, doesn't allow for your bolt to actually travel that far. There's only so much thread on the bolt, so I'd have to put something in there regardless. Not a big deal. So yeah, we're going to move on with the rest of it. So the next part is our side rails. I opted in for 18 inch, I believe, or 16 inch. But we're going to put these on really easy. So you have these little itty bitty mounting holes here. And on the other side, the rack we just mounted to the back of the quad has bungs welded in with, and they're already tapped and threaded. So we basically plug and play from here on out. Hopefully we don't have to modify anything else. And then we'll go on to the next step after that. I think that'll work out quite nice. So the wife's starting to thread in all the bolts here now, lining up all the holes. So far so good. Once we get all those in and everything loosely put on, then we'll give them as many ooga-doogas as possible. And we should be all right. This is the left side, right side. There's actually no piece, from what I understand, that goes behind the up seat, which is exactly what we talked about online, so that's fine. And then there's actually going to be a fold-down gate at the back, so you can put your chainsaw and whatever else. She's getting the other piece here now. I think it's going to be quite a large box. What do you think?
So far, so good.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
not the one that had to modify anything, though.
True. I'm not overly mad about that. I mean, stuff like that happens. So this person's making them for countless amount of quads. So who knows how complicated that process is, especially with different versions and different seats and different models. And he's just trying to make one box so everyone can bring their dog with you. Okay, we'll carry on. So what happened, honey?
We put them on backwards.
A little bit of a instruction kerfuffle.
That's our fault.
Yeah. I know it doesn't really count if it's electric, but if I use my air, I'd probably blow it apart. Wow. Don't put your fingers on these. That's why I hate them. It's hard to count ooga-doogas when it's electric. Come on. Had to pull out my standard sockets for this because freedom. There we go. Move on to the next part, whatever that means. See if we can get that backwards. So we had to get a little creative. So this was already on the mount that we put on the actual back rack. We put our side pieces on correctly this time. And then, so what they have is these hooks with springs so that you can essentially pull this and drop your gate down. Now, they didn't include some more stuff, so we're missing a pin and washer here. So I grabbed one of these bad boys, put it through, and then bent it for now, just so we can get it to work. And then I'll have to run to the hardware store for all the stuff that was missing out of this package. So, we're getting there. We're getting there. So now, what we have here is a functional gate. Good to go.
Cass approved. So all we have left to add on now is the drop down extra storage that we were talking about. A couple hinges on that, couple cables to hold it in. Once we're done rigging this piece up, we'll just throw that on and we should be good to go.
Yeah, we just got to take these 2 bolts out. That's going to hold the hinge on the other side, and that's going to be our back gate. Good to go.
Then hopefully we'll get Diesel in there, give it a little test tonight until we get the mat and we can go for a ride.
Yeah.
So now that we have the flip down platform installed, there's a couple ways that this can be used. So if we're not going to be using it, if we don't need any extra storage, there's a little clip here that you can just kind of use this arm to hold it up. If you want it down, it's pretty easy. We've got these nice lanyards with the carabiners, quick release if you want it. If you're not using this quite a bit, they had them crossed down here together on the mesh. So not sure if we're gonna use it that way or just keep these clipped up. But if you're not having them up, instead of having this thing dangling here, you just pop this through and good to go.
So that's it. This is the box. Come on, Diesel. Come on. Try
You're
and...
getting too big for this. That's why we got this, because I can't carry you anymore. Hi.
Well,
Hi.
it's holding a dog. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to be pretty happy with that. So, in a nutshell, a little disappointed with a few things.
Hardware.
Hardware.
Treats are nice.
Treats are nice, but I mean, a few extra washers and pins would have been also great.
Hey, buddy.
No, don't jump down, buddy.
What's this? What's this? You've been up here. Good boy. Good boy.
You're going to go for rides with us.
Right? Good boy. When you're bigger, you'll be able to fill it out. See? Got lots of room to grow.
Yeah,
Maybe tomorrow we'll go out for a little quick ride.
for sure.
Okay? One step at a time.
Okay guys, day 2 of the Dusty Dogs box build. I went out to the store, grabbed some hardware because half of that was missing from our kit. So I grabbed a few things to make things a little bit better and do it properly. I did grab some black zip ties. I got some horse mat, which I'm going to cut into shape and actually put in the box so the dog doesn't get rattled to death, because this grated steel here is going to be rough on his paws, so I figured I'd do something for him. And to cover the top rails, I bought some plumbing insulation, which I think will work out perfect, and I'll just zip tie it around, try to make it as neat as possible. So I'm going to get to doing that, try to make this a little bit more comfortable for Diesel, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so step 1's going pretty well. So I have this side all zip tied with the pipe insulation, and it comes around. Try to tuck it up as nice as possible, just so that if the dog's chin bounces off it or something, we're good to go. So you can see what I did here. Just a couple zip ties and just try to put all the material tucked away, and so I'm getting along there. I'm almost done this part now, and then I'll get on to doing the floor horse mat rubber. We'll see how that goes. Okay, just a little update for my my custom pieces. So now I have all of the top rails covered with foam, and I started taking measurements of the inside here, and what I'm going to do is actually put that rubber horse mat down here. It's a little tricky because all the bends and everything, so I started by cutting out a square chunk out of my horse mat, and then I made a cardboard template like this to start doing the 4 corners, and then I'll have to figure out a way of making a template for the inside here by my up seat, so I'll have to do that piece too. Once that's all said and done, I'll probably have to put at least a recess or a hole for the mounting bolts so that this thing sits flush. And then it should be pretty well good to go. Okay guys, keep going. Okay guys, so I just finished up with the mat. I got it all installed in here. I had to, like I said, I used some aircraft wire and I spun it, and I used this to guide along the frame. And so I could get my shape for the mat, and then I just cut it out by hand. It is quite a bit of work. I used 1/2-inch mat. You definitely don't have to use that that thick, but I plan on using this more for just the dog, you know, saws and everything else. So a little bit of extra strength in there doesn't really do any harm. So I think it turned out pretty good. So the dog's going to be a little more comfortable. We'll probably end up putting a little dog bed in there or something, but he's spoiled, so we're looking good.
That's our fault.
Yeah. So the homemade drawings were.
What? Blooper. I don't understand. It's like turning on and off by itself. I didn't touch anything.
Couldn't tell you. So I think this is.
We're recording now.
Recording? I don't even know what this part is. Not gonna lie to you.